Hello, my name is Ritchie Knox, and you are tuning in into the Virtuous Teacher Podcast. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody. You've made the podcast a success at this point. I started off like, you know what? I'm going to do a couple episodes just to see if people listen to it, watch it. And the good news is I'm back because of you. So without you, none of this is possible. Thank you for the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. It's all about you. It's about time that teachers voices are heard, and that's what this is about. It's about giving us a voice. And of course, I couldn't possibly speak for the amazing variety and diversity of teachers out there, but certainly I am a teacher, so my voice matters as well. And that's what this is all about. It's about showing that each one of us, our voices matter. In this particular episode, we're going to tackle a much more heavier topic. I think the last three episodes have been, somewhere around the classroom. This is where we kind of diverge a little bit because this podcast is very dynamic, and we'll be talking about dealing with sexual advancements from your coworkers. This is a real thing, and it's not just in the teacher or education sector. I mean, I hear nurses got it real bad. But I couldn't possibly speak on that. So from a teacher's perspective, how do you handle sexual advancements from a coworker? Man, I don't even know what I'm going to say in this episode. So excuse me if I'm a little off the rails because I don't have a script necessarily. I kind of did a summarization of what I want to talk about, but it's impossible to really layer this thing out in a way that's very detailed. But before I get started, just as a reminder, you can listen to this podcast everywhere that podcasts are available, but you can also just go to YouTube and check it out as well. I appreciate however you consume this content. And again, thank you all for the support. But man, where do I start? Well, I know where I start. First off, check the descriptions area for all the ways to connect and support. For example, consultations, bookings, merch, stuff like that. Check the descriptions now. Go for it. All right. But anyway, sexual harassment can be described as sexual advancements, or I should say unwanted sexual advancements from another person. So you're in the workplace and a person is constantly, flirting with you or doing something like that. And you don't want any parts of it. You know what I mean? It's one thing when you also find the other person attractive or some kind of mutual flirting. But in this instance, we're talking about somebody who is not interested, all right, and has communicated that in various ways. However, that communication is being ignored by that individual. And that's pretty much what we're talking about. I thought that it would be best to tackle this topic from my own experience because I feel like if you haven't experienced it, then it's somewhat difficult to really touch base on it. And I have experienced it in the workplace. So obviously I have to change certain details to protect the guilty because I don't want to be disrespectful, but I do want to provide this as a learning moment for somebody else who might not be as strong as I am. Okay. Well, in my instance, and I'll give you a little bit of the background story. In my situation, man, how do I say this without just incriminating everything? Okay, fine. I'll just try to be as honest as I can. You can't lose by being honest. I was going through a tough situation in my relationship to start the school year. And if you know anything about education, obviously every year there's a high degree of teacher turnover. And if you don't know what that means, it just means that teachers are leaving after a year, after 2 years. And then you have this influx of new educators. And in this particular incident, there was a new teacher, female, and for whatever reason, she gravitated towards me. Okay. And for me, I thought initially it was just a friendly thing. Like, hey, okay, she's just being extra nice, what have you, what have you. But it soon became somewhat of how I would describe it as an obsession. Okay. We're talking about always coming to your classroom. Okay, so as I'm telling the story, I'm assuming that some people will start to say, yeah, I've had that happen too. So you're in your classroom, kind of minding your business. And it's one thing to be nice to people. You don't want to be rude. But sometimes I think being nice can sometimes be misconstrued as, having an attraction to someone. So that's kind of what I think happened in my situation. I started to notice day after day after day after day after. Should I keep going? Or do you get the point? Every day, this teacher would come to my classroom. And the door would be closed most of the time. And I would hear a knock. I would open it, and immediately she would go into all these different things. And it started off pretty innocent, and then it gradually turned into something more flirtatious. Then it graduated into a full-fledged sin. I'm just kidding. It turned into a full-fledged like sexual thing, and it wasn't necessarily, not overtly sexual where she's touching me necessarily, but just saying things that are very, very inappropriate for someone who is not necessarily. I have to say necessarily because I want to be very cautious here, but for someone who's not projecting it back. I felt like she was doing a lot of the giving in terms of the compliments and the this and that, the comments, and there was nothing coming back. And I was hoping in my mind that, okay, she's being nice. She sees I'm being nice. She's being flirtatious. I'm not reciprocating. She's being overtly flirtatious. I'm not reciprocating. And I'm thinking at that particular point, she'll get the message at some point. That's not what happened. So, there will be times I would go to the gym and play basketball because I'm trying to stay in shape. And she would come into the gym and just sit in the bleachers and just watch me play basketball. And it was kind of strange. I'll be honest. It was kind of strange. Now, if that is not enough, it got even more crazy when you consider the fact that she was married. Okay, she was married. And what happened was towards the second quarter of the school year, my wife and I, we worked things out and we got, things back on track. And I started wearing my ring again, and I thought that was pretty much the end of that as far as the flirtation. But it got worse. It got worse, right? So if you're wondering what type of flirtation am I talking about? Well, obviously coming to my room, coming into my space, and for the record, I never, and not a single time that I can recount, have ever been in her classroom. Okay, so that should have been somewhat of a indication that I wasn't interested in a romantic sense. All right, but it wasn't. And I would say as far as how many times she's come to my room, I would go with maybe somewhere in the realm of 50 times, 45 times. I don't know. I can't remember. But the point is, coming to your room, and then when she comes to my room, oh my God, you smell so good. Oh, you're so good looking. What was another thing that I heard from her? She's like, I would completely be able to do this school because I'm not attracted to any of the guys here. But it's only one person, and you just had to be here. Kind of like you just had to mess up my plan. I was planning on coming to this new place and having a simple, situation, but then came you. And if it were not for you, I would be fine. It was very uncomfortable for me because she was married to start, right? And even though my situation was complex and complicated at the time, I was still married. So it didn't feel good for me to be in that situation either. So even when I was on the, complicated side with my marriage, I still respected my marriage enough not to say or do anything that I felt like would be an issue or for her an issue, right? So anyway, constant compliments on what I smelled like. I mean, can you tell what I smell like through the camera or through the podcast? I smell good. That's what I think she was trying to say. Anyway, so, compliments on how I smelled, on what I was wearing. She would try to, compare me to the other guys in the building. Like, oh, he's wearing skinny jeans. And look at how you dress. You dress professional. He's wearing a shirt that shows his man breast. And look at your chest. I'm just kidding. I don't think she said that. But anyway, the bigger point is that this was the kind of stuff that was constantly being thrown at me. And it was extremely discomforting. I didn't really feel that was the place for that. And then we would have, as a staff body, we would have these outings where we would go to various restaurants and just eat, and like social gatherings after work on Fridays, payday. You know how it is as a teacher, you get those paydays. And, everyone would be drinking and all that. I wasn't drinking at the time. All right. I'm not drinking right now either. Teachers, we kind of pick our spots, but we would go out. I would sit in the most random spot ever. And then when she got there, she would sit right next to me. Every time. I think this happened on at least 2 occasions, possibly 3, but I do remember 2 distinctively. All right. Again, so it's just like this person had this obsession, and she let slip what her intentions was at least one time. And I'll share with you. I think her intentions were actually good. I don't think she meant to be sexually harassing. I think that her and her husband were not doing so well. And here came a guy like myself, and I think I fit what she desired from her husband. right? They have been married over 10 years, and you know anything, or I should say, if you know anything about marriage, the longer it goes, sometimes the more complacent you can get. So I think she was starting to feel like, you know what? I'm getting tired of my marriage. I want to get out of my marriage. And this guy seems to be sent from heaven above. He is this, he's that, he's this, he's that, he's this. He's that more than my husband. He's that more than my, that kind of thing. And I think she genuinely was praying and, seeking God, like, is this what you're saying to me? And what I was trying to explain to her was, no. God would not use me to steal you from your husband. That's not how God operates. That's what I wanted to tell her. But I was hoping, because she claimed to be, faith-based individual, I was hoping that she would read those scriptures and figure it out herself. Hey, that didn't happen. But no, it's like, no, I'm not your husband. And we know that because I'm currently married. So that's the first indication. And that's how that went down. That situation occurred for an entire school year. And let me tell you, I did survive. I sound like a survivor, right? I did survive the sexual advancements because of some very key strategies. And I want to share those strategies with you because I think that they absolutely worked. Did they work perfectly? Meaning that she got the hint and she never tried anything ever again? No. But the advancements start to die off more and more and more and more. And here's why. Before I even get into this, let's just go ahead and address a common misconception. Sexual harassment happens to men as well. All right. I'm talking about, it definitely does. She did everything outside of touching my body. And then in some instances, she would say, hey, can I get a hug? And I'll say, all right. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to be rude, right? So I give her like a side hug. And I think even then she turned that into this sexual thing, like, oh, you give the best hugs. I'm like, goodness gracious. I can't even tap on her forehead. Oh my gosh, your fingertips are so, it was just like that. And, I understand. I get why she was like that. Look at me, looking good as I want to look. No, I mean, seriously, no, jokes aside. It was just crazy. So first off, let's talk about some strategies to ward off sexual advancements that you don't want. Here's the first thing I would say. Stay professional. I don't care if that person is breaking the rules, that person is coming to your office, that person is giving you inappropriate compliments. Stay professional at all costs. Do not break character. Your job is to teach children. When you walk into that building, your job is to teach kids. And anybody who is forgetting that for just a moment, that's on them. But that should not be what you represent, okay? They're reflecting poorly on both themselves, their husband, and their family, husband or wife, depending on the situation. So that's what I was often thinking to myself, like, she doesn't understand how poorly she's representing her family because she's risking so much. You're risking and this is my big thing about, affairs, adultery. And I hate to segue into a place that might not be the best, but it has to be said, adultery in of itself, you're risking your family, you're risking your children's happiness, stability. For what? A fling? You're risking an entire group of lives. All right, because a divorce could cost you your home, your job, your financial standing. You're risking all of that for a fling with someone who's already in a relationship or is single but only wants you for one thing. I mean, that is incredibly irresponsible. So in that instance, for me, it was simple. Stay professional no matter what she does. All right. Here's number 2, never give away your personal contact information. There were instances where she would email me and say, hey, can you do this project for me? Can you do this for me? Can I borrow this? This is how, those kind of individuals act. All right. They try to get personal with you. Like, hey, can you do this for me? Can I borrow this? Can I have this? Oh, here's something. Now, I will say I would kind of fold a little bit when she brought candy. I didn't know how to say no to that. She would bring candy because I'm a candy head. I love caramel. So it just, I couldn't say no. I tried. Believe me, I tried. All right. If you want to get, your sexual advancements across, lead with cupcakes and caramel. I might let you get a little far. All right. But anyway, stay professional and never give away your personal contact information. This person never got my phone number. They did get my social media because they did some kind of loop around where they were listening to somebody else who asked. It was the weirdest thing. So that's what happened. Anytime she came to my room, I always pulled the blinds up and opened the door. All right. So that removed a lot of possibilities right there. So always stay in a public or open space just to protect yourself, because some people are really crazy out there where they'll kind of accuse you of doing something that you didn't do. So I knew right then and there I had to protect myself. This person was not acting in a way that was logical, and I was not about to risk my career for this situation. So I kept the door open. Play dumb. Number 4, play dumb. All right. So, oh my gosh. Guess who I like at this building? Shit, who you like? I'm in the room with him right now. Damn. There's another person up in here? Oh no, I'm looking at it right now. Who you looking at? It's a mirror on the screen? I mean, play stupid. I mean, that's what it was. It was like, look, I gotta play dumb. This chick right here. All right. Oh, something smells so good. Oh, I opened the window. Oh, it smell like cologne. It's another little. Man, them little roaches do be smelling good. I don't care how you do it. Just play stupid. What you doing this weekend? Me? You talking about me? What I'm doing this weekend? Am I free? Oh no, see, I got a fish tank I gotta clean. Play dumb. And most cases, or in most cases, if they like you enough, they won't really be able to notice because they'll be so like love struck. All right, so play dumb. You'll go a lot further that way than, whatever. Bring up their family. This was a very calculated strategy of mine. I will often ask, say, how's your husband? Are you two getting along? How is your daughter? And it kind of, helps them remember, like, hey, you got a whole family. I mean, I know you want to risk it all for your book, but at the same time, you're thinking in short term. You're thinking short term. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, where do I go with this conversation? The point is, whatever I could offer you is not going to cover up the fact that you're going to lose so much with regards to your husband, your child. I mean, it's just not worth it. It might be. But anyway, the point is, I brought up her family a lot just to try to remind her, like, hey, okay, all right. There you go. All right. Anyway, keep your distance. Number 6, as I noted, I never went to her classroom. I stayed in my own space. She would only see me if she saw me in passing or if she came to my office. There was no way I was going to give that woman any energy by coming to her room. It just wasn't going to happen. Number 7, the most important one, stay busy. Anytime she came by, she had to say things like, are you working? Or can I come in? Or you look so busy. And that's because, 1, I was actually busy because I'm a virtuous teacher. I'm actually working, believe it or not. And 2, I wanted to make sure, especially during times when I knew she would come by, I was doing something so that we can kind of wrap this up. Hey, what you want? I appreciate the compliment. Is there anything else I can help you with? And get the heck out of here. I got things to do. I got a whole family to work for. So anyway, that's how I got through it. Those are 7 ways that I was able to circumvent this very uncomfortable situation. But let's talk about the obvious. If it's serious, I mean, where you're being touched outside of a hug and stuff like that, or you're being cornered, or you feel like you're in an unsafe situation. And I will say there were instances where I felt unsafe. She would say things like, you got to be careful about what you put on social media. People will be watching you and you don't know. People crazy. They'll come to your house. I was like, why she says what? Why you say that? I wasn't even thinking. I'm like, yo, what? Yeah, so, okay, all right. So anyway, it would scare me a little bit. And I was like, you know what? It's cool. But at the same time, you might be in a different situation. And we have to address the obvious. If you're a female and you're being sexually harassed by a male, things are a little bit different. So I would say document and report if it gets serious. Document, you can record. Get a recorder, use your cell phone every time that guy comes in. And just record what they're saying to you. Any documentation with regards to what they're sending to you via text, which they shouldn't have your number anyway, or through email. Document it, and I would say report it. Absolutely report it. You want to know why? Because your safety matters, and you matter as a teacher trying to do your job, and you're constantly being flirted with. Now, we're not talking about you're an attractive young lady, or even if you're not. There are friendly flirting situationships in the workplace. I don't engage in them, but I do know they exist. But those seem to be more mutual. I'm talking about an individual who's not interested in that other person, and that person is getting more and more aggressive with regards to their advances. We don't want that. And my last point before I end this episode, because it's already off the rails, the final thing, if none of this resonates with you, here's the ultimate sexual advancement killer. No energy. Don't give it any energy. That's how energy works. You give energy to something, it comes back. All right. I'm doing this podcasts. I'm dropping these episodes. I'm exerting energy into the media waves, and I'm hoping that it reaches people and they send the energy back, right? With a comment, with encouragement, with a like, with a subscription. I see all of that. With a email, hey, I would like to meet with you, with a booking and all. That's what it is. It's reciprocated. And that's what keeps me going. I get that energy and I say, you know what? I got to send it back to you all. And that's why I'm back for another day, because I got energy back from what I did prior. But do you know, it'd be a very, very terrible situation in which I'm doing these episodes and nothing's coming back. No views, no comments, no subscriptions, no likes, nothing. Right? So that's what I mean. Like, a lack of energy kills activity. All right. A lack of energy kills activity. And that is what you have to lead with. Don't give them any eye contact. Don't conversate with them. Don't be in the same place with them. When they walk into your room, walk out, because no energy kills activity. All right. I hope this episode was helpful. It was great to reflect and just get it out my system, because it's bothering me. You know, you ever had that kind of situation? That's kind of what this is for me. It's just like I'm venting because I really need to speak my truth. But, you know, man, it's crazy. But I would like to say thank you all for tuning in with me. Again, check the descriptions for ways to connect and support, like consultations and, you know, whatever you need from me. I'm here to provide it as a service. And most importantly, throw a like, a comment, or review on the podcast, on my YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And it will be certainly appreciated. All right. But until next time, enjoy your weekend. I'll see you soon.